Welcome to we call it a landing page, the page for all the information about the witch sequence and this particular intensive 77-day intensive opening on Sunday, August the 3rd, for the sixth witch art gift, reverence, and I have to go like this, and devotion. I'll explain as best I can. Kathy Stevens Pratt, my co-conspirator, co-creator, the two of us are just listening and following to the guidance we receive for this astonishing 3.5 year witch sequence. And we are listening very carefully right now to the sixth circuit, the sixth gift, following the chakras. It's dark blue, indigo blue, and it's all about devotion, reverence, and devotion. So there's a massive amount of information on this page. If you haven't been here before, please know that the top half is an explanation of the witch sequence. What is this thing? Where did it come from? It's kind of a wild story. You will enjoy following it and seeing how the labyrinth dropped into our lives and what are the six witch art gifts. And then there's a nice big dark blue, indigo blue line across the page inviting you to now step into the specific information about ART6, how to awaken, remember, and trust the memory of reverence and devotion. So, how shall we begin to talk about something so big? Well, let's take a look at the map. This witch sequence was given to Kathy and me when we started what we thought was just one intensive on full body intuition in March of 2023. And about 3 weeks in, we suddenly realized, wait a second. Full body intuition is a pretty spectacular witch art gift, but it's not the only one. There are 7. And furthermore, they match the chakras. And furthermore, because there's 7 of them, they match the original mystical 7-circuit labyrinth, which is a gift from our ancestors all the way back to the Paleolithic time. You are looking at the womb. This is a divine feminine womb labyrinth. And even though Kathy and I have been walking this labyrinth for now 3 years, she is always a surprise. She is always a mystery. To go with the map, I was awakened and received the prayer about the witch sequence. I have said this prayer now every single morning in my deep soul writing for 3 years, and still something will get my attention that I didn't notice before. So I would like to give this prayer to you because it explains, it's the perfect introduction to the witch sequence and this 6th gift of reverence and devotion. Here's the prayer. Our Lady, Queen of Magicians, you have shown us the blueprint, the witch sequence. It's a blueprint, it's a map. But listen to the second line. You have whispered the purpose to heal the wasteland. To understand that line, be sure to watch the video right below this one about the libraries. She goes on. You have shown us the blueprint, the witch sequence. You've whispered the purpose to heal the wasteland. You have sent the archangels, Lucy and Michael. Now listen, twin guardians of your original culture of prayer, love, reverence and devotion, reverence and devotion. I have been saying this prayer for 3 years, not knowing that reverence and devotion was the path we were headed to here on the Sixth Circuit. I have to laugh. You have summoned 7 dragons to sing the song of the Holy and Holy Witch. Now, dragon is a big deal. Dragon is actually everything. Look at the map. Where's the 7th Circuit? Where are we headed? What's the 7th witch art gift? It's dragon. I have not understood at all. How can dragon be a witch art gift? But it's starting to come. It's starting to fall into place. But it's been in the prayer all along. You have summoned 7 dragons. We'll talk about all 7. You have summoned 7 dragons to sing the song of the Holy and Holy Witch. Now we ask that you gather the witches. Well, that's you. We ask that you gather the witches, hold our hands, guide our feet as we walk your ancient, sacred labyrinth path to awaken, remember, and trust your 7 original witch art gifts. That's a really important adjective. Kathy and I didn't make these up. They're her original sacramental witch art gifts. That's such a profound and sacred and holy memory that witches and wizards and shamans and priestesses have held and been revered for these 7 witch art gifts for thousands and thousands of years, well before, long before patriarchy. So the next line is to say them. And I say these 7 witch art gifts every single time I say the prayer. And I tap my thymus. That's called a thymus thump. And so I am implanting these 7 gifts into my body every single day. They are full body intuition, threshold crossing, original prayer, myrrh anointing, divination, devotion, dragon. And here's how the prayer ends. Ours once, you bet. This is who we were, revered by our communities because we embodied and blessed the community with these 7 witch art gifts. Ours once, and guess what? Ours again. Ours again, right now, even as patriarchy in the wasteland is burning around us. Ours once again, ours always. Then the prayer ends with our Latin motto. Kathy and I had a grand old time with the Latin motto. You can read about it here on this page. It is Canticum Somnium Draconis, the song of the dreaming dragon. We didn't know what that meant. We knew it was right. The song of the dreaming dragon. What song? What dream? Who's dreaming? Is the dragon dreaming? How can the dragon be singing while the dragon is dreaming? It's a mystery, but it's a mystery that we're very, very, very close to discovering, to recognizing. And ART6 on reverence and devotion gets us very, very close. So this particular intensive is all about reverence and devotion. How are we going to remember reverence and devotion? Well, she showed us. And this way that ART6 is designed, the 5 learning gatherings and the experiential journeys, is a complete surprise. We are going to begin in Crete. Crete, an island off of Greece, is the culmination, the fullness of the goddess culture of reverence and devotion on earth. Crete and the goddess culture lived in harmony and peace and joy. You can see it in all their art. There are just pigeons and birds and doves and flowers and men playing the lyre and women dancing. Every speck of art for 1,000 years has not one image of a war or a weapon or anybody enslaving or conquering anybody. I cannot wait to remember living in reverence and devotion in Crete. Then we're going to skip backwards in time. Have you noticed we've just leapfrogged right over patriarchy? Because patriarchy is all about a power structure. It's not about reverence and devotion. It's about abuse, domination, and control. There is nothing we can learn about reverence and devotion in the patriarchal culture and religions. So, after spending the first learning gathering in Crete, relishing the way we lived, because we lived this way, now we're going to go back in time, Neolithic, to look at all the goddesses. Do you know that we have uncovered goddess figures in Japan, China, Australia, New Zealand, Peru, North America, South America, every country in Europe, absolutely everywhere, and almost no figures, like something like 1/2 of 1% of the figures are of male figures. We lived for thousands of years in a goddess culture of reverence and devotion. Think about it. Patriarchy, give or take a little, is 5,000, call it 5,000 years, because the sky gods and their tribes with all of their wars and weapons showed up and murdered. They cut down our trees and they murdered everybody who worshiped the goddess. But how long have humans been around? At least 150,000 years, at least. So for 145,000 years, we have lived in reverence and devotion and joy, and women were the central focal point of society because we embody the goddess. We are the givers of life. So we are just going to have a party meeting the goddesses and becoming the goddesses, culture after culture after culture. Oh, how much fun can you have? But we're going to go back further to the Paleolithic. So Kathy painted this adorable, can't you just feel like you're in a cave? You're in a Paleolithic cave. Kathy has actually visited the caves in Spain, and we've all seen pictures of the caves in France. So we are going to experience being in the caves. Did you know that the Paleolithic caves are the birthplace of shamanism, of art, of mysticism, of devotion, of reverence, and of course, it's the birthplace of our seven circuit labyrinth. Oh, I cannot wait to be immersed in the reverence and devotion of the way we lived when the caves were showing us what it means to be a human. Now, so far, we've only been talking about humans, but how old is the planet? Billions. So that means just like patriarch is only 5,000 years and the goddess culture is 145,000 years, that's still a dot on the planet. So do you know what you're looking at? This is a magnolia. Did you know that the magnolia is the very first flowering plant? The magnolia is 100 million years old. What can we learn about the memory of life the memory of all life from Mother Earth in the time before humans? Kathy and I don't know the answer to that question, but we can't wait to dive in. Shall we go back further? Our final stop is going to be the ocean. You do know, I'm sure you learned in fourth grade biology, science, that all life began in the ocean. All life began in the ocean. We crawled out of Mother Ocean, and we know that water holds memory. What does the ocean remember about all life? Don't know the answer to that question, but I can't wait for the immersion. We're just going to immerse ourselves in this ancient memory of life. The intensive is called How to Awaken, Remember, and Trust the Memory of Reverence and Devotion. The memory of all life. This is the way we lived. This is the way we can live again, but only if we open to remember the preciousness of all life. Whew, such an adventure. You want to dive in and tell, because you painted all these paintings. You're taking us on the experiential journeys. Where are we going, Kathy?
Oh my goodness. Um, as you're talking, I'm 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 piecing it together. Just listening here on the sidelines. Uh, where are we going in the journeys? We're enlivening the libraries, the elements, and I think it's about remembering that the pars fortuna is us as a multi-dimensional creature, but we are this planet.
Exactly. So this is it. It's not her memory of life like somebody else over there.
Yeah,
I mean, we know we have had multiple lifetimes, but I have a tendency to think of myself as a human, a recurring human. I can kind of get there. But wait a second. If this earth was just bulging with astonishing life in the time of, let's say, the dinosaurs, in some way we were there
right.
because we are life. We are the elements. We are Mother Earth. So no one's ever done this. And Kathy and I don't have our hands around what it's going to feel like or look like in these immersion gatherings. Maybe instead of calling them learning gatherings, we should start calling them immersion. We're going to immerse ourselves in the ocean, immerse ourselves in the Paleolithic caves, and let the caves and the ancestors in the caves speak to us, and the symbols speak to us. It's an immersion. And then I think we come away really embodying reverence and devotion. I leave you with how this all began in a Ho'oponopono intensive right after Prayer Artist arrived in 2018 with Kahulahela. The particular group started really leaning into sexual abuse, and people were sharing their stories, and it was brutal. It was brutal. And I began to get livid. I was just fit to be tied over what patriarchy and all of our religions have done to all of humanity, but especially to women. I felt that, and I was hearing that in the members' stories. I was getting lost, and she knew that I was getting lost. So think about this. In July of 2018, that's 7 years ago, I was awakened in the middle of the night and clearly heard it wasn't a power structure. It was a reverence structure. It wasn't a power structure the way we lived before patriarchy. It wasn't a power structure. So she was telling me taking the boys out of control and putting the girls in power would still be a power structure. It wasn't a power structure. It was a reverence structure. That's when I began to use the language, her garden of reverence. But think about this. It's been 7 years. 7 years of trying to get my hands around what does it mean to live in, to create a reverence structure. You know who knows the answer, don't you? Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, life herself. She has created nothing but reverence, deliciousness, delight, joy, color, sensuality, sexuality, beauty. And now she is asking us to remember how to live in and create a reverence structure. I guess she was giving us the assignment for the witch sequence 7 years ago, and I'm just now figuring that out. So welcome. Kathy and I trust you will join us in this very deep, precious, holy memory of the beauty, the delight of living here on Mother Gaia. Visit the page, look down, all of the information is here. If you have any questions, please send me an email and join us to remember the reverence and devotion of life.